Greetings and blessings. Welcome to the United Hotspot. It is the first day of the January transfer window, and we are back here with the transfer corner on the United Hotspot. My name is Webb. Always a pleasure to be here to talk about Manchester United. And of course, today, the big one is about none other than Raphael Varane. Should he go? Should he stay? Give me your opinion by picking up your call, your phone, and giving me a call in a bit. Whenever you are ready, just give me a call. I will be ready to pick all your calls as they do come as we attack this January transfer window with the confidence of a Manchester United supporter, of a Manchester United fan who knows how exactly we roll when it comes to the transfers. Well, of course, today has been full of quite a number of things happening, especially concerning players we are linked with. Now, there is some big breaking news that has just come through about, of course, Mason Greenwood and how he's continuing to attract serious attention from several clubs. But let me know where you are tuned in from on the United Hotspot as we do get to talk this transfer on the transfer corner. And of course, the wish list for Manchester United is something we will be looking at length. But the latest on Raphael Varane is that United are saying they are not giving him new terms on the same terms, extending his contract on the same terms. The idea for United is to cut down on his terms and see if they can keep him. Or Varane, who is attracting interest from Saudi Arabia, is likely to be leaving the club on a free transfer. That is also possible if he sees out his contract at the end of the summer. What exactly should Manchester United do with Raphael Varane? But of course, also there is a story that is coming through just right now, and I want to grab it for you. A story about Manchester United currently, and Mason Greenwood. This is reported by Goal, who are suggesting that Mason Greenwood, apparently Atletico Madrid are serious about signing Greenwood, and they have actually proceeded to contact Manchester United over a possible signing of Greenwood. Look at that. This is a story coming through just from Goal. They're saying that Atletico Madrid have made contact with Manchester United over a potential Mason Greenwood deal. This is the Roma mill. Now, Romas, when it comes to United, are always not supposed to be refuted. Of course, they talk about Varane to leave Manchester United as a free agent. That's the question I've got for you, whether you think it's okay. But also, Manchester United target Todibo could leave Nice in January. Remember, Chelsea have also come up today and expressed interest in Jean-Claude Todibo. Question is, should Manchester United go into a bidding war with any club? Even Spurs are interested in Todibo. That as well we'll discuss. Let me know what you think. You call me up as we do get into this transfer talk. But for me, the hottest one should be this boy, Mason Greenwood, attracting attention from left, right, and center. Question is, what exactly is Manchester United doing about it? Is Sir Jim Ratcliffe just watching on and waiting to see who the highest bidder is and cash in on him? Or is there a chance that United could keep Greenwood? That I want to pick your mind what you think would be the best for United first, but also to Mason Greenwood. But I think it's only right that we think about ourselves first as United supporters. So you will let me know. Those are some of the things we're going to be discussing on the United Hotspot today. My name is Webb. Are you excited about the January transfer window? Sir Jim Ratcliffe made it clear there is not so much money to spend this January. The financial fair play doesn't allow us anyway. Even if Sir Jim had the money to inject in, the financial fair play doesn't dictate that United cannot spend so much, because we certainly have to first sell players if you are going to buy any. The reality is that's a tight situation for Manchester United, but it is not one that should cause worry for us, because the boss Erik ten Hag made it clear that with all players back from injury in Jan, we should be demanding results. And by the way, there are people who are calling for the head of Erik ten Hag, and I'm thinking this is a bit of a certain level of unfairness. I think even Erik ten Hag himself said it, that let us give him a chance. When all players are back and fit, let us judge him then. Let us start judging him at that point. So for me, I think it makes sense, because they are returning on the 14th of January. On the 14th of January, United will have a full house. Now, from that point, the next game we play Tottenham Hotspur on the 14th of January. United will have no excuses. Erik ten Hag will have no excuses. That game is at Old Trafford. There will be no excuses at all for Eric Ten Hag. So for me, I think we can be patient. I think even Sajim will be patient until all these players return and we see if there is significant improvement in whatever we're doing. If not, then obviously the conversations will change about him and his job at Manchester United. But call me up, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you are. It doesn't matter. You can use your WhatsApp calls. You can call me directly on call. Just call me up on the number down on your screen, 0700 or 2 +256 700 388 714. You can call on that number right now and let me know where you're tuned in from and what you expect from this January transfer window. And most importantly, should Raphael Varane leave Manchester United? He has clearly proven whenever he has been fit that he's a very important centre back for Manchester United. But injuries have dictated that he cannot play for so long. He has only been limited to 7 starts this season. The boss is saying you're important, but you're not worth £340,000 per week anymore. Al Nassr and I think Al Ittihad from Saudi are both interested in him. Real Madrid could be interested in him. Varane's agents are laughing off reports linking him to Saudi Arabia. He feels there is more football for him to play at Old Trafford or in the UK or in Europe if United feels he's done. So what exactly should United do for a player earning that amount of money? With a new man coming in, a new sheriff at the helm of football, what do we do? Do we cash in on Varane now in January if there is anyone, a potential bidder? Because they could be there. I think if there is, in the last summer transfer window, we struggled to sell players, and it was understandable because not many of our players were worth selling because they were all either not on form, they were all some were injured. There was a lot of negativity surrounding most of our players back then. Of course, calls are coming in and dropping off. I wonder why, but you can keep calling. I will pick them as they come. But for me, I think this particular January we can have players who could give us some bit of money. Even Anthony Martial, I feel we can get some little decent money for Anthony Martial. I think we can get something for Anthony Martial because he scored against Everton. At least this time around, we go into a transfer window with him showing some slight signs of improvement from how dead he was in the summer. So for me, I think Scott McTominay, we are going into this year. I think this year we can sell players. I think our players can attract interest. I think from Scott McTominay, maybe not in Jan. Scott could wait until the end of the summer. There are some people who feel actually that Scott should be one of the untouchables. I don't think so. I think Scott is also surplus to requirements, more so at the end of the season. There are also people. Of course, there is you talk of players like Anthony himself. I think we should be considering a loan move for Anthony Dos Santos this January, if possible. I'm thinking of course Donny van de Beek already has gone to Frankfurt, Eintracht Frankfurt in Germany until the end of the season. It's a short-term loan, but it's important for him to get some ball time in his legs. So I think whereas January might not be about buying for the most part for United, I think we can sell players. We can vend players if we have to. Vend them to Saudi. Saudi has passed a rule to increase the number of foreign players in the team to 10 from 8 before. So they have the money to spend. They are preparing to come and spend. We didn't attract any money from them because our players were that bad last summer. But I think in this January window we can sell a player or two really, if not Saudi to anyone. But I think we have more sellable players than we were in the last transfer window. And Varane is one of those. So Varane's contract about to end. You look at Varane and I look at an interesting challenge in Varane because Varane is obviously one of the best defenders in world football today. When he's fit, Varane is probably up there with Van Dijk, perhaps even better because he's more proven. You would say he has won multiple Champions League titles. He has won a World Cup title, been to another final of the World Cup. So in terms of level and class, I think Varane is a world-class defender. But I don't understand when certain Man United supporters want to be overtaken by the few minutes of fitness of Varane and forget about the bigger problem he carries when he stays at United. The longer Raphael Varane stays at United, first of all, the more stretched we are with our wage bill, which Sir Jim Ratcliffe wants to trim. That is one. But also, the more he causes confusion to Eric Ten Hag. Because imagine you're building, like the case we are in now as United. You're trying to rebuild your team, but your marquee centre back is not going to be available for 3 consecutive games. So whatever you're building is destroyed by the same player. So you build a brick, you build him with Lisandro Martinez, because the way United plays is a chain. There is no one player who will come and be inserted there. That's why you see we struggled when Rasmus Højlund is there. When one piece of the chain is pulled out, we go back to square one. So you can imagine if we have played with 10 different, I think, center backs this season, 10 different center back pairings this season. You can imagine 10 different. So far last year we played with 10 different center back pairings. Now you can imagine if you're building something as a manager, and the players, because each manager will always have key players on which they want to build their team. So in the back, if Varane is there and he's fit, obviously he's a starter with Lisandro Martinez. But imagine Varane comes, plays with Lisandro Martinez, one impeccable game, then he's out for 3. So Eric Ten Hag has to go back to square one and figure out an option, either Lindelof or Raphael or Harry Maguire, who is going to fit the gap of Varane and again try now to readjust. And usually, changing one centre back might actually mean changing a certain player up front, because that players and their style might not suit certain players. So it's a whole chain that is adjusted. So for me, I think the best thing for Manchester United right now is to bite the bullet and say, whereas Varane is good, when you're fit, we have no doubts about your abilities. You're earning a lot of money, but the most important reason we are letting you go is you're never fit. You're never 100% fit. So you're disorganizing whatever thing we're building with the manager. For me, that's the simple way to look at Varane. No sentiments. The thing with United supporters is we are too sentimental. We are too sentimental. We get too attached to these players that I have come here and attacked, not attacked per se, spoken facts about Scott McTominay or spoken facts about Amrabat, and people who are sentimental are calling for my head. But if I say Amrabat is not good enough, and I'm here to talk about him as well, I don't think Amrabat is good enough. I don't think he has warranted a permanent stay. United has got an option of buying him on a permanent for about 21 million pounds from Fiorentina at the end of his loan spell. I personally don't think he's good enough, and that's the reality. I don't think Sofian Amrabat has warranted a permanent stay at Manchester United. Not at all. He's not good enough. That's my honest opinion. Now, people are already calling me out for that, saying, how do I say that? I think the reality is we bought Amrabat when he was injured, not 100% fit. And even if maybe he may not live in Jan, and unfortunately he won't even be there in Jan, I think he will be in the AFCON. But even if he won't be there in Jan, the reality is he will have to do a lot to warrant a sanctioning of his permanent signing in the summer. He will have to do a lot. So our transfers, I think for me, our January should be more about assessing the situation we are in. But moving on, of course, Jean-Claire Todibo, who is the other important player Man United has been linked with for the longest time. You remember, people have been complaining, and I think it's a bad name to make for ourselves, that Manchester United lately is in the habit of identifying players for other clubs and they take. Now, we remember the case with Kim Min-jae, how we insisted so long on Kim Min-jae, but of course, because of the lack of money and all, Bayern came and swooped him instantly. And same thing with Axel Disasi, who went to Chelsea. Now Chelsea are also being reportedly linked with Todibo. Apparently, they want to open talks with Nice for Jean-Claire Todibo this January. Now, of course, you know that Chelsea will have their money to spend. And for me, I think this bidding was for now and not for Manchester United. I think the situation we are in now as Manchester United is not for going into a bidding war for any player. Not a single player in the world is worth a bidding war from United now. For me, it's not, because we are in a critical stage, a critical period of reflection, of adjustment, of analyzing, of reviewing. You cannot then go into a bidding war for a player, even if it's Todibo. I'm not even sure Todibo is the most important player for United to sign right now. So why then would you go into a bidding war with Chelsea and Spurs? So I think this whole Chelsea link to Todibo, it can pass. I think United can do without Todibo. It's getting tighter and intense. Of course, Spurs as well coming into the mix and all. The pressure will always be there. people will always start, feeling the pressure. We are going to lose another player. I don't look at it like that. For me, I feel if Todibo wants to join United, he will tell whichever club that wants him to wait until the summer, and he holds on to for a deal with United. So for me, the Todibo situation does not fetter me in a way, does not put me under any form of pressure. If anything, if he lives in Jan, it's good riddance because I don't want United to rush into signings this January. But this whole Chelsea and Spurs interest in Todibo could put us under pressure, and yet again we make a panic buy, which always does not make sense. We end up, making mistakes with our panic buys. Now, speaking of panic buys, one of them, and depending on how we look at it, the only justification of United paying £85 million for Anthony Dos Santos must have been that he was a panic buy for Eric Ten Hag. Because if it wasn't, I'm sure, really, even at their worst, the John Matters and Richard Arnolds of this world, those poor negotiators wouldn't have negotiated such a crazy deal for Anthony. I think he signed a 5-year deal in 2022. His contract runs out in 2027. You can imagine. But I think even Anthony was a panic buy for United that was not justifiable. If you think about the time Eric Ten Hag bought Anthony, you reflect on it and you're thinking, what problem was he solving for United? And for me, these are the questions I've always kept asking whenever I've seen Eric Ten Hag or Man United point to any player. I'm thinking, what problem? Because United has been full of problems since the departure of Sir Alex Ferguson. So meaning whichever signing you make has got to be solving a problem. Now I'm thinking, what problem did Anthony Dos Santos solve for United when he was bought for 85 million quid? What problem did Mason Mount solve for United? Or what was he thinking Eric Ten Hag Mount would be solving if he signed him for a for 65 million pounds from Chelsea? So I think that's why this transfer windows now should be about identifying the real problems we have, and we sign players to solve those problems. For now, we don't have a proper understanding of what our problems are. Because we are at a stage of transition, we have new guys in. The only obvious move that United needs that does not require anyone to ask a researcher what is Mason Greenwood returning to Manchester United. That's the only obvious of anything linked with United. The only obvious thing for us to do is bringing back Mason Greenwood because he solves a glaring problem whose name is Anthony Dos Santos. And that's why I'm saying whichever signing we think about now should be made to solve a problem. Don't bring in players because I think the manager Ten Hag has had interesting dreams about them. He's somehow fascinated by them. I think we need to bring in players who are solving problems. And the first player to solve the biggest problem we have is Mason Greenwood, solving the biggest problem we have. That is a toothless right wing. A toothless right wing is a big problem because Anthony is blunt. We are having hope now in Amad Diallo, who has been injured, but Mason Greenwood has been proven longer. But even then, Diallo is a mobile player who can play anywhere in the attack, as a forward. So for me, that's my honest take on this whole January transfer window. Of course, people have spoken of so many players, centre backs. Of course, Todibo can also play as a right back, by the way. And I'm thinking if we bring Todibo, we should bring him as a right back. But that is in the summer, not as a centre back. We have bigger issues with Bissaka and Dalot than we do have with Varane, Lisandro Martinez, Harry Maguire, and Victor Lindelof and Evans. So for me, the right back and left back are bigger problems for us to solve. But let me know, in your view, what you think we should do in this January transfer window. How do you think we should attack the January transfer window? Victor Lindelof has got a contract extension. That's still the latest. That has been confirmed at least. More talks are going on with other players. Some have, of course, most of the players have options to extend their stay. For Jadon Sancho, his future is yet to be permanently decided. But of course, the future of Sancho will lie mostly on whether Eric Ten Hag will stay or not. The reality is, if Eric Ten Hag is still manager of Manchester United, there is no chance that Sancho will come back in the starting team, in the squad. It's not going to happen. And Eric Ten Hag, knowing his pride and ego, you would know that. If he's still the boss, it's not happening. So his Sancho's future is solely dependent on whether Eric Ten Hag stays or not. And there was a picture today, and usually if these pictures of images are released, it shows there is something that could be happening. There was a an image of today of Jadon Sancho playing with some kids, driving his cross country. I think it was a cross country, and taking pictures with some kids around Carrington. So maybe there is progress on his future at United. But the reality is, so for as long as Eric Ten Hag is still the boss, if Sir Jim Ratcliffe chooses to stay with Eric Ten Hag, Jadon Sancho is no more. It's one or the other. They want both. I don't see a scenario where Sir Jim Ratcliffe reconciles Eric Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho. If Sancho was a top player, if he was performing, maybe then that would be necessary. But clearly, it was so easy for Eric Ten Hag to banish Sancho because he has not been playing football. He was not performing for United. So really, there is not really a need. I think the priorities for Sir Jim Ratcliffe will be more of Mason Greenwood and solving the conundrum with Greenwood. Then this whole wages and trimming wages situation, the easiest one is Sancho. Just let go of him and terminate his contract. And of course, his £350,000 per week is saved. The thing though is most of these players signed crazy contracts with the past administration that you would find Manchester United cannot untangle from the contract they have with Sancho. That's a possibility, by the way. That Man United may not be able to untangle from their contract with Sancho because of how some of these contracts were structured with the past CEOs and whatever, rather secretariat that was there running games with Richard Arnold and John Matter. So that's a situation. Whatever you were saying, Varane is an excellent player, but should definitely leave. He's too injury prone, getting much older, and on a very high salary. Right on the money. Right on the money, Guada viewer. Greetings, Guada viewer. I don't know where you're from. I would be interested in knowing where you're from, Guada viewer. If you don't mind just dropping where you do watch from, you're of course always there on our lives, and of course on the transfer center. So yeah, I agree totally with you. That's what I've been saying, that Varane, yes, is a good player, but United is at a stage now where we cannot just have you because you're a good player or you were good at some point. Every player at United should give value for their money. They should give all the value for their money. No player should be hiding behind anyone, behind injuries, behind what. All players should be giving proper value for their money. So for me, it's important. Oh, Guada viewer saying he's in Britain. Yes, greetings, Guada viewer. It's in Britain. It's Britain is 2 hours behind me, so it's 8:53 in Britain. It should be. It's 8:53. Yeah. Okay. Happy New Year, people in the UK. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. And thank you so much. We've got so many viewers, by the way, who watch us from the UK. I think people watch us mostly from Uganda, Nigeria, from Kenya, from UK, from South Africa, from the United States. Lots of people do watch us from those places. Big stuff you're doing there. And of course, thank you so much for keeping it here. I do remind you as well, guys, you can become a member. Most of the other transfer stories are in the scrolls. You can, if you want to read and enjoy some of the scrolls that are passing across your screen, have some bit of stories that I may not capture in speech, but they are important stories for you to also know about in case you've been busy and you didn't know what has been going on around United. So today has been a bit silent, really. I think besides Todibo and Raphael Varane's contract issues, there has not been much news, but the real serious thing now, all players now are into that stage where you discuss your contract. And usually if the club does not come to you now to try and discuss your contract or its renewal, it shows you're not important. That's just like it was with David here. At a time like this, all players who are important to the club should be called, and the club is trying to negotiate with them. Unless Sir Jim and Co have halted any processes of such. But of course, they can't halt them because there is no time really. You either do it now or never. You've got to start negotiating with players and their agencies when it comes to their new contracts. So Sir Jim is working right now behind the scenes, obviously. And we do hope that whatever they are cooking will taste good for us eventually, because We've been eating bad food for so long, haven't we? Yeah, let me know, of course, what you think. Thank you, brother viewer. Of course, our first guy here to drop a comment. But I do want to pick a call. I don't know whether people just are not in the mood of calling, but I do want to pick a call. A few, two, three calls that came through were dropping off. I don't know why. I think they were competing, but the number is right there, fam. You can call. I want to talk to someone and get to know where you are tuned in from, but also get to know what exactly you take on our January. And seeing how we ended last year on a low, I saw Rashford saying it's not the ending we would have wanted. Of course, what you would expect from these players, feeling bad about the loss to Nottingham Forest. To be honest, that loss was painful, given that everyone was expecting us to win. From the manager, the fans, everyone. For me, actually, my prediction before the game was that was meant to be our most comfortable win. But I've learned the second time. I remember the last time I had such a prediction again, were beaten by Bournemouth by 4 goals to 0 at Old Trafford. I could never have predicted that mauling, that humiliation from Bournemouth. So I think I've learned never to predict, especially to predict a comfortable victory for United, this United, against any team, not at Old Trafford, not away from Old Trafford. I think I've learned the hard way because it was not good at all. Not good at all. These wrong predictions. But let's talk about Greenwood. I've just showed you a story from Goal here, who are saying that Atletico Madrid have opened talks. That's the story right there from Goal. That Atletico Madrid. These are rumors coming through, and usually these rumors to do with United usually have good sources. Now, here's the rumor that Atletico Madrid have made contact with Man United over a potential Mason Greenwood deal. I want to pick your mind on Greenwood and whether you think we should we should go for any money. We should take any money for Greenwood. What's your take? I want to pick your mind on whether Man United should take money for Mason Greenwood. And the figure that was being thrown around for Greenwood before, and it was quite demeaning and painful to listen to. It was 40 million pounds that I think Getafe were suggesting, and people were saying, where is on earth is Getafe going to get that money? But you see, Greenwood has excited them that much that I believe their supporters would actually pass a basket around the whole of Spain to try and get the 40 million pounds to buy him. That is just how much this boy has excited them. And what did you expect anyway? After him exciting us, I think we are harder supporters to excite than Getafe supporters would be. And they have not even seen the 80% of what he can do. I think his fitness levels are not yet at 100%, but he's still bossing that La Liga like he was born for it. So, for such a player to be linked with a move away for 40 million pounds, I think is not only demeaning or disrespectful, but also it's it's a sign that these clubs also know that United perhaps don't know what they have. It's a sign that we perhaps don't know what we have, because if we knew what we have, Greenwood would be back, I think, early this month. Before, at the earliest, we would be calling him back from that loan if we knew what we had. But obviously, we've chosen to focus on the less important things and forget about the important things, which are the football that Greenwood plays at Getafe, and which is his cardinal duty and odd job to play football. And that's why we are paying him 75,000 quid per week. But unfortunately, that's United for you. So the Greenwood situation is still there. It's for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to decide. Of course, he's calling the shots now. Nothing can happen with Greenwood without the blessing of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. It's maybe in less than 4 weeks by the end of this month. I think it will be fully done. I think the whole process will be done. The takeover process will be done, and we'll be done with business. So let's hope it will all be good for Manchester United. It is exactly, I wanted to be here for about 30 minutes, and indeed it's just 30 seconds to 30 minutes. I think I would thank you for tuning in to the United Hotspot. Thank you, Guada viewer. You're the only one who has dropped a comment today. And of course, there's a lot more for us to expect in this January. We expect, of course, the first thing we need to anticipate is the confirmation of Sir Jim and his team, and of course, Jean Claude Blow will talk about him when he's confirmed and what his abilities are, and what exactly he's meant to do or he's about to do when it comes to transfers in this January, because certainly he has got a big hand to do in everything we are supposed to be doing. For now, that's it. Thank you so much. Have yourselves a good night. I don't want to keep you here for long. I think I've summed up most of the things we wanted to talk about today when it comes to this transfer corner and the transfer wish list of Manchester United. Greenwood back! 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 That should be the chant for the rest of January. Let me not shout for my neighbors because have a good night, ladies and gentlemen. Bless you, God of you, and everyone else.